Are you a social, self-preservation, or one-to-one Enneagram 8? By the end of this video, you should know what your dominant instinct is, and that is what we would call a subtype. Each of us have 3 instincts ingrained in us, and honestly, these 3 instincts, they are needed for our survival. But before we get started, don't forget to push that subscribe button, because this is a series, and not only is it important for you to know and understand your own subtype, it's also important for you to learn the people in your life's dominant instinct, which would be their subtype. I'll tell you why this is so important later in the video. So let's start with what are those 3 instincts. The first one is self-preservation, and we would label that an SP. This instinct keeps us safe, helps us with our well-being, our health. This instinct has a need to avoid danger. They even might need to make sure they have enough money, resources, clothing, stuff like that. That's what the self-preservation instinct is. The second instinct is known as the social instinct, which that would be known as the SO. This helps us be aware of other people. Community is important. They want to have a very positive impact with other people. They're super aware of how their actions and attitudes affect others. And so that's what this social instinct brings to them. The third is known as the sexual. That would be SX, but that's also known as the one-to-one. And you probably saw in the thumbnail, I just have it listed as one-to-one. Apparently you can't put sexual in a thumbnail. It would get flagged. So that's why I just have it listed as one-to-one. This instinct is super aware of the chemistry between them and another person. And it doesn't mean like someone they're gonna marry, or because all the types, you know, we all kind of have that instinct of finding that person. This instinct is just the chemistry with just one other person, a friend, someone in the room. Deep relationships are life-giving to them. So it could be, like I said, anyone in their life. That deep relationship, that is what their first instinct seeks out. And this one has the most energy of all 3 instincts. So we do have all 3 instincts, just one is dominant. And we learned to mostly rely on this instinct in childhood for survival. And so it's very well developed. The second instinct, it's one that you do use, especially if the first one is not gonna help, then you'll go to that second instinct, but it's not your first instinct, if that makes sense. And so for me personally, I would list myself as an Enneagram 9 SO/SP, because I use social first and then I use self-preservation second. And then the third one is usually your blind spot. So the one that you either don't know how to use, haven't had to use, or just blind to it altogether. And the cool thing about knowing your dominant instinct, it helps you to understand why things trigger you. Why does that bother you? Why do you need that? Why does that make you happy? Why do you need to have certain ducks in a row in order to feel okay, and different things like that? Why do things make you mad and everything? So this instinct, it really helps you to feel safer and maybe even secure, and it'll bring you joy sometimes. So relationships can be better and easier if you learn each other's instincts. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, why it's important not only to learn your own instinct, but to learn the instincts of the people in your life. So for example, if you have a partner or somebody in your life that's a self-preservation instinct first, right? And you're a social instinct first. And you walk into a room and your first instinct is to make sure everybody's okay. How's everybody doing? You're more about the community and the group. You don't have to be the center of attention, don't get me wrong, but it's just almost like your survival instinct of going in, and the group's needs are really important to you. But your partner's first instinct is self-preservation. And so their first instinct when they walk in a room is more, you know, what is the temperature in the room? Where's the food at? Do they need any help with the food? I don't know. Anything like in regards to that kind of stuff would be their first instinct when they walk into a room. And I'm saying if it's a room full of people. And if you know this about each other, you'll begin to accept that it's okay that this person didn't walk in and just want to care about the whole group first too. And it helps you to accept them better and almost like release them from having to show up the way you do to a situation. You understand that's just not their first instinct. So the bottom line is, it's important for you to learn about your dominant instinct and the other 2, because we want to bring them into balance. We believe that knowing all 3, bringing all 3 into balance, using all 3, is the healthiest way to do it. And before we get started into the subtypes of the 8, I want to recognize that you might have landed on this video and you don't even know what a challenger is. I will link a video down below that will help you understand what a type 8 even is before you get into the subtypes, because it's important to know the core values and desires and fears and weaknesses and everything of the type 8, especially if you're wondering if you are a type 8. first, and then you go to this video and learn about the subtypes next. Okay, so let's start with a self-preservation type 8. So this subtype powerfully pursues the things they need in order to survive. They don't talk as much as the other two subtypes, and they especially don't reveal as much as the other two subtypes would. They do not bother with pretenses. They are the no-nonsense subtype. This one is strong, direct, powerful, energetic, productive. They're super great at bargaining. They usually get what they want. And they can be mistyped as a 5, and that is because they have this quiet strength about them. This subtype, they do not want to rely on anyone else. They just want to rely on themselves, and they will be the ones that are focused on financial independence. They only want to rely on themselves. They don't, like I said, they don't want to rely on anyone else. So let's move on to the social 8. And this one is the counter type. And what that means is of the 3 subtypes of the type 8, this one does not resemble type 8. Maybe it just doesn't look like the normal stereotype that the type 8 can have. This 8 is more loyal and less aggressive, which is one of the things that makes it the counter type. They are the helpful 8s. They are nurturing, protective, and helpful. This subtype, they're gonna be way more mellow, less quick to anger than the other 8s, just softer and calmer. And they love projects. They are constantly needing to be in action. They love to-do lists, they love making them, they love crossing things out. They're constantly needing to do everything on their to-do list. And to be honest, this subtype can actually think there are 2 sometimes, because they might not identify with the anger of the 8 or the need to dominate. Here's an important thing about this one. Male social type 8s can actually look like type 9s, which is interesting because my husband is a social 8, and we did a marriage video a while back, like about 6 months ago, and actually, I don't even really know when we did it. Don't quote me on that. But we did this marriage video on what it's like for a type 9 to be married to a type 8. And what surprised me was some of the comments. There was some comments that said, oh no, your husband's a type 9 and you're a type 8 and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. But I knew he was a social type 8, and they can look like a type 9 at times. But at the core of him, his core weakness, desire, fear, longing, he resonates so much with those 8, with all the things in the 8. So we know he's a social 8, but it can be a common misunderstanding that the social 8 can look like a 9 sometimes, or a 2. And the way to know the difference is the 8, they're going to act in a more direct, powerful way, willing to engage in conflict if they need to, and they will express more power and control in situations where they are protecting and supporting other people. And so that's how to know they're definitely a type 8 social. Okay, so the last one of the 3 instincts would be the sexual 8, also known as the 1-to-1. This subtype is the most rebellious of all 3 of the subtypes. And they are also the most emotional of all of the 3 subtypes. In childhood, some sexual 8s experienced a lack of affection from one or both of their parents. This can cause them to want to rebel against authority because of that. This one, they have a need for dominance, power over others. They definitely don't want to lose control over anything or anyone. They feel things really deeply. And this could be so amazing for a great relationship, but it also can be an issue if the relationship isn't going very well. And this subtype, they have this intense passion and zest for life. And the last thing with the sexual 8s is they are so genuine in their care for others, and people tend to feel super safe and protected in their presence. And so that's a great thing about the sexual 8s. So anyways, that's all 3 instincts. And if you're type 8 going, oh, I really resonated with the social, well, then you're a type 8 social. And then you're like, oh, and I also resonated with the self-pres, but I really feel like I show up social first. Well, then you would be a type 8 SO/SP, and then more than likely the SX is your blind spot. So like I said, though, learn about all 3. It's important to learn about all 3. It's important to use all 3. These are all good instincts to use, and we need all 3. So bring them into balance. And if you want to learn more about the type 8 subtypes, so there's 27 subtypes in all, right? So every type has 3 subtypes. If you want to learn more, I have a great book for you. It's called The Complete Enneagram. I don't know if you can see this. I'm never good at actually showing it on the camera. But it's called The Complete Enneagram. It's 27 Paths to Greater Self-Knowledge. It's by Beatrice Chestnut. I will link this down below for if you want to purchase it. So It's a great book. It goes so much more in depth into the subtypes of all types. So anyways, that's all I have for today, guys. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm Hillary_McCaskey_coaching. And I also have an Enneagram Instagram account, and that one is called Enneagram and Coaching. I'll link both of those down below if you want to go find me. And then also, if you still, by the end of this, are confused at your type or your subtype or even your wings or anything like that, and you want help, I do offer a Discover You typing session. It's 1 hour over Zoom, FaceTime. I think the sun is coming out. It's been a cloudy day, so the lighting might be changing. But anyways, it's over Zoom, FaceTime. What's another one? I don't know. Any of those. It's a 1 hour session with me, and we should be able to land on your type, your subtype, and your wings by the end of it. So I will link that information down below. And last thing is, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate that you watch these. I appreciate that you want to learn more about yourself and others in your life. You want to have more grace, you want to have more understanding and love for each other, and that's why I do this. So that's all I have. Until next time, bye guys.